Hi everyone and welcome to another video! This is not only the first video of the year, but it's also the first video of the decade. Like, what? I'm super excited to be doing this again, to be filming some more videos. And like I always say, I'm hoping to have a more regular schedule with my videos, kind of plan everything out, be a little bit more organized. I guess you could say that's one of my resolutions for the new year. I guess while we're on the subject of resolutions, usually I'm not a resolutions person, but I think it's good to have goals. So I guess my biggest one is traveling. I want to travel more, see more things, do more things, not spend so much time in the house. So that's a couple of my resolutions. If you have some that you'd like to share, you know the comments are always open. It's a fun place to go ahead and talk to one another, so let me know if you feel like it. So, in my last video, I talked about my love for classic films and then a few of my favorite actors, a few of my favorite movies. It was very broad and it was hard to kind of narrow down. And I asked you guys to go ahead and leave a comment if you had suggestions for future videos or if you had more questions. And I did have a couple questions that came in, so I thought I'd just go ahead and answer those, which of course I was I was writing out everything that I wanted to talk about. I actually have like a whole notebook filled with things I was going to talk about in this video, and it's funny because it started out like, oh, of course I know the answers to these questions, it's this, this, and this. And then I started thinking about it and I said, oh, well, I also want to talk about this, and oh, I also need to touch on this, and this, and this. Oh, I can't forget this. And it was just like this really long list now. So we're gonna do our best to touch base on everything. Again, if you have suggestions or questions for future videos, whether it's like film history or classic film, or if you have just other questions like, oh, do you have any traveling tips, or I want to see more of your sketch comedies, I really miss those, or what about cooking with Kat, is that even a thing anymore? If you guys want to see any more of those, again, let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to go ahead and get over and make those videos as soon as possible. Really quick, I'll get my usual bit out of the way. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button for this video and go ahead and share this with everyone you know. Your dog, your cat, your neighbor, your friend. In that order if you want to. I actually have a cat who watches movies and TV and YouTube, and so yeah, share it with your cat. On to the questions and on to classic movies, because I love classic movies and I love just sitting down and watching movies. I had a question come in from Trinia HD Videos. They were asking about old cartoons from the 30s. Didn't I do that last video? The 30s. Old cartoons from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And yeah, I really love the old cartoons, especially now that I've gotten older. I kind of understand it more, because the cartoons originally weren't for kids. Like nowadays, there's a lot of adults out there who refuse to watch cartoons because it's a kid's thing. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You have, for example, Adult Swim. That's definitely not for children. The Simpsons, not for kids. Rick and Morty, not for kids. Love those shows, but probably shouldn't have your 5-year-old niece sitting down watching that with you. That's probably wouldn't be the best idea. Yeah, but cartoons were meant to be watched by adults. Snow White, I absolutely love that movie, the Disney movie. You've probably seen it. It's kind of a scary movie. I mean, I watched it as a child, and children most certainly can watch it, and Walt Disney did tweak the story a little bit so it wasn't as gruesome? I don't know. If you read, I believe Snow White was a part of the Grimm fairy tales, and it was a very, very dark story. So I would totally recommend, like, if you are a fan of Snow White or Disney or anything of that sort, go ahead and go back and watch or read the original material and watch the movie again, and then you'll see like how much had been like taken out of the story, so it's not as extreme, I guess I could say. But Snow White was the first feature-length animated film with sound that was successful. There had been feature-length animated films before Snow White, but they're much less well-known. And as we all know, with the success of Snow White, Walt Disney was really able to launch his career in filmmaking with the animated films, and kind of was set the foundation for his empire. As I was doing more research, because I was thinking about all the cartoons, and I was like, oh, I watched Mickey Mouse, which of course is Disney, and then Betty Boop and Looney Tunes, and then there's like Tom and Jerry, which I don't like Tom and Jerry. I won't watch it. It makes me very upset. I don't. Anyways, I used to watch Tom and Jerry. I don't like it anymore. But where did I lost my train of thought. Okay, but cartoons. Oh yeah, I was doing a lot of research, and there were some animated films and cartoons and things, but Disney definitely is what people think of when they think of old animated movies, because they were the most successful. You had Dumbo and Pinocchio and Bambi, all of which, I mean, I still won't watch Pinocchio. Pinocchio terrifies me. That movie's so scary. Dumbo, I mean, the characters are just so mean and rude to him. And Bambi, I mean, oh my gosh, spoiler alert, but Bambi's mother is killed, and it's so dark and scary. But maybe I'm just like, those old cartoons are a little, spooky. So I really like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and Peter Pan and some of the Disney movies from the 50s I really enjoy. Again, with Peter Pan, oh my gosh, if you read the original story, the Lost Boys are like, yeah, we'll go back with Wendy, and then Peter Pan's like, no, and he kills him. What? But Walt Disney had actually seen Peter Pan the play, and then he was like, I gotta make a movie out of it, and he bought the rights to it and made a movie, which has been super successful. And usually the 1953 version of Peter Pan by Walt Disney is the version of Peter Pan that people most usually think of when you talk about Peter Pan with them. Because I know there's been a lot of different remakes and a lot of different versions of the story, but I would say that's the most popular version. Oh, Lady and the Tramp, 101 Dalmatians, but that's 61, so technically it doesn't fit in the 30s, 40s, 50s. But I really like the old cartoons that are just sound-based, mostly. What was it called? Merry Melodies, I think. Every Halloween I like watching the skeleton dance, I think it's called. It's so much fun, and it all goes to music, and it's so interesting how they put a song and the visual, the movements make sense with the music. It's a merry melody. Also Fantasia. Fantasia was the 40s. That one's just an absolutely beautiful movie. And if you haven't had the chance to watch it, because that cartoon is just, the animated film is so good. I love watching animated shows, animated movies. If you ever are like, I'd like to start watching some animated movies, then go ahead and let me know. I'll give you like a whole list of all the movies I really like watching. I mean, the Golden Globes just happened. The Missing Link just won Best Animated Film. They won that award. Laika Productions. I mean, their movies are just so gorgeous, and their technique is they use stop motion animation, and it's just so time consuming, and it takes so many details, but they are just so on point where you don't even think about it in the movie unless you're already like, oh, I'm going to watch this movie, I'm going to think about how the animation is, but it runs so smoothly that the form of animation doesn't get in the way of the story. So I'm going to move on to my next question. Okay, so my next question comes from Oscar Lucas. He suggested that I talk more about classic movies, give you some reviews or some top movies and top actors from the time. To start off, the first thing I thought of was Some Like It Hot, because TCM just recently played it, and I love that movie. It stars Marilyn Monroe, Tony Curtis, and Jack Lemmon. And let me tell you, it's so good. I think TCM was playing it because it takes place in the 1920s, And essentially there are these two musicians who are looking for some work, and while they're working this one show, they get into some problems with the gangsters who go after them, and so they decide to join a female band under the disguise of being two females. And they both fall in love with Marilyn Monroe's character, and they go to Florida, and they're all trying to like marry rich millionaires, and it's just such a fun movie. It's so funny. Like, if you need a good laugh, watch Some Like It Hot. If you don't have like TCM, I know Amazon Prime has it for free. They should still have it because I usually watch it all the time on that. I don't know if it's on Netflix. Also, you can always look up classic films on YouTube. A lot of them are on there. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because their contract is up, so it's not protected over copyright. I'm not 100% sure why they're on YouTube. It's a little bit lower quality, the sound isn't as good, the picture isn't as good, but just to kind of get you started, you know, go on YouTube and see what you can find. And then if you're subscribed to certain streaming services such as, you know, Amazon Prime, which has a huge variety of classic films, Netflix, I think Hulu has some. So just go ahead and kind of look at them, just turn one on. You know, you never know, you might like love it. I also recommend watching The Public Enemy. It premiered in 1931 and stars James Cagney, Jean Harlow, and Joan Blondell. It is the first gangster film, successful gangster film. It launched the gangster genre. Sorry, I can't talk today. But that movie, I think I touched on it in my last video. It was a pre-code film, which means things happened that wouldn't have happened after the code. The code put a lot of restrictions in place, so movies couldn't have violence, and they couldn't have certain language, and they couldn't have nudity, and there was a lot of things that were a no-go. So also these movies didn't have the rating system. The rating system wasn't a thing, so you can't be like, oh yeah, The Public Enemy is a rated R movie, so you better not take your kids to the movies on this one. No, there is nothing to be like, stop, don't show your kids this movie. It's up to the parents to really say, okay, we're not gonna take them, or we're gonna show you Little Jimmy. I absolutely love James Cagney's gangster films. I think he only did gangster films because he was kind of put in that role. Everyone saw him as a gangster. They didn't really couldn't see him as playing any other character. So they're all very good James Cagney films. He's a very good actor. And yeah, so definitely watch that if you're into like a crime kind of feel and gangster kind of movie feel for movie night. I also think I talked about this one a little bit on my last video, but I very, very highly recommend watching To Have and Have Not. It stars Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart. It was premiered in 1941. It is the first of the Bogey and Bacall movies. It's, oh my gosh, I think I talked about this in every classic film video I've made on this channel because it's just so good. The chemistry between Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart is just, it's explosive. And it's crazy because they're excellent actors. I love Lauren Bacall's movies and I love Humphrey Bogart's movies, and when they're together, their acting is just so good, and you don't pay attention to it because it's like good acting should make you forget that they're acting. So you should be watching something and think, oh yeah, this is just how it is, instead of being like, the acting isn't too good. No, Bacall and Bogey, oh my gosh. And then it was real chemistry you were seeing on set, because that was when they were falling in love. Oh my gosh, when Lauren Bacall walks into the room and Humphrey Bogart's character like sees her and looks up, and it's just, I don't know, there's so many moments when the director was like, keep rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling. We need to capture this because this is a genuine moment. We need the audience to see this. Needs to be in the movie, and it's just so good. Bacall, it was her first feature-length movie. She was only 19. She was only 19. And Humphrey Bogart, he was quite a bit older, like 15 years older than her or something like that. Yeah, and they had, you know, off screen they had a beautiful relationship and they had a kid, and I love reading about their story. But definitely watch To Have and Have Not. It's an excellent movie. It's a drama. So we have a comedy, a gangster film, and a drama. I also want to recommend The Hitchhiker. The Hitchhiker is so good. It's classified as a film noir. And film noir technically isn't a genre. It's hard because it doesn't fit the definition of a genre, because it has certain, like the lighting is a certain way. You have usually the femme fatale, and then the sorry, I can't speak. I already talked about this. I don't know what's going on. The femme fatale, and then you have the damsel in distress. So they kind of like juxtapose each other, and then very, very moody ambiance, and usually there's some form of smoke on set. A few other examples of film noir would be like The Maltese Falcon, and a more recent version of film noir would be Blade Runner, the original one. I haven't watched the newest one, so I can't say whether or not it's a film noir. I haven't read too much up on it. So film noir isn't technically a genre, it's more like an aesthetic. So The Hitchhiker is also kind of like a thriller, I would say. It was directed by Ida Lupino. She was an actor, director, and producer. She was the first female to direct a film noir movie, and I just think that's so cool. And I went into watching the movie and it was just so well thought out. It was written very well. All the different elements made a lot of sense. You know, the lighting, the costumes, the locations. It was such a good movie, and it was very suspenseful. There we go. Maybe it's more of a suspense than a thriller. I highly recommend that movie. And then moving on to actors, I'm going to talk about Jimmy Stewart, Doris Day, and Cary Grant. So first off, I'm going to talk about Jimmy Stewart. Let me write down for my list, because I'm just going to kind of go off of that. And if I don't follow it, then I'll just keep on talking about Jimmy Stewart, because he's just so good. So good. Any Jimmy Stewart movie, watch it. It's so good. But I would definitely recommend watching Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. That's a drama. It's about the politics in America. And I think it's really important to watch, not just because Jimmy Stewart's amazing or because it's a really important film in the history of film, but it's also really important because it would help you understand American politics a little bit better and how Congress works. I know when I took a political science class, it really helped me remember certain terms. It was fairly accurate about the political system at the time. I mean, few things have changed that they showed in there, but I think it's also really important, especially if you have like, if you're in a political science class or you're like in high school and you just can't remember all that stuff like me, watching a movie is great. It's a great form of education. So Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Also the Philadelphia Story, I think I talked about this in my last film. It stars not just Jimmy Stewart but also Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. It's a screwball comedy. It's hilarious. So if you want something a little bit more lighthearted to watch, it's a very good film. Rear Window, it's a Hitchcock film. It's so suspenseful and thrilling, and it's, oh my gosh, I should make a whole video on Alfred Hitchcock because his form of storytelling is a genre in itself. Rear Window, just thinking about that one, it's usually you follow a character around throughout the story and they go usually to different locations and different things happen in different locations. And what's so interesting about Rear Window is that the main character doesn't go anywhere. He can't go anywhere. He's watching. So it's like, it's kind of like a film within a film in a way, because Jimmy Stewart's character can't get up and do anything. He's just watching things unfold and happen. And it's just, I don't know, it blows my mind. I think it's so good. Definitely watch Rear Window, or Hitchcock films in general. I love Hitchcock. I think it's just His movies are so good. Okay, I'm getting off the list. Okay, gotta keep going. Gotta keep going. Winchester 73. Another spectacular movie. Not just because Jimmy Stewart's in it, but because it doesn't follow a character. I mean, it follows a character, but not a person. It follows the rifle itself, the Winchester 73, as being passed to person to person to person. And so you see different lives, and you get to see different experiences that are happening kind of within the same general location. I think it's an incredibly interesting film. It's a Western. I'm not a huge Western person. There's not too many I like, but I know there's a lot of good Westerns out there. I don't know why I don't like them. I don't know. But Winchester 73 is definitely a very good one. And then also It's a Wonderful Life. I know it's no longer Christmas, but I think It's a Wonderful Life is just a good film to watch anyways. It's just so visually interesting. The story's so good. It's really sad. And thinking about it makes me sad. Okay, so that's the end of my list for Jimmy Stewart. I mean, I can make a video just on Jimmy Stewart and talk about him and his acting style, and I think I've said this before, but I want to be the next Jimmy Stewart because he had just this natural presence in front of the camera, and he was just such a good person off camera, and I love Jimmy Stewart. So now I'm going to move on to Cary Grant, who I love Cary Grant. He has, again, he has a strong presence on camera, and he has this very suave way of just capturing the audience's attention and then holding on to it, and it's amazing how he does that not only in like the dramas but also in the comedies and the thrillers and all these different genres of movies. And I love Cary Grant. He's another actor I could just talk about on and on and on and on. So I'm going to go ahead and give you my list of movies you should watch starring Cary Grant. First off, Arsenic and Old Lace. I think I talked about this in my last video. It's very good. It's hilarious, actually. It's so good. I have cried from laughing so hard because Cary Grant's expressions, his reactions to the crazy things that are happening, it's priceless. It's just so good. So if you need a good laugh, definitely watch Arsenic and Old Lace. Bringing Up Baby, another comedy. It stars Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn. They were paired together for a lot of different screwball comedies. But Bringing Up Baby is so funny. It's a big cat is involved. A really big cat. And it's hilarious. And it's... oh my gosh, I don't want to give anything away. But Bringing Up Baby is a very good one. The Bishop's Wife is another Christmas one. But I really hope you get a chance to watch it, because after I watched it, it changed how I looked at life after the movie had finished. And I know a film is great when it changes the way I think, or it inspires me, or it makes me think after the movie is done. It's just, I saw the world differently, and I thought that was beautiful. It was a positive thing. I saw the world being a little bit better, and I was able to cope with things that were going on a little bit better, and I thought that was just amazing. So it's a fun movie. Okay, so again, my camera stopped recording, so I lost like 15 minutes of me like just talking about films to myself in an empty room. Maybe I'm a little crazy. Okay, so I was talking about The Bishop's Wife. I think I was kind of done with my spiel there. It's just a really good movie. I highly recommend it. Wonderful acting. The story's great. Topper. Topper is such a good movie. I don't want to give too much away, but I'll tell you, it's about ghosts. And it's hilarious. I highly recommend that one. And I also recommend My Favorite Wife. That's the last Cary Grant movie I'm recommending, because all of them are super good, and I'm trying to like condense it down. My Favorite Wife essentially is about this man and this woman. They're married. The woman goes off on this voyage for work, doesn't return. Everyone thinks she's dead. So the man moves on with his life. Him and the wife had a couple kids, so he's raising the kids. Falls in love with another woman, about to get married, and then his first wife shows up and it's just like, surprise, I'm not dead. It's crazy. And you think, man, that sounds like a drama. No, it's not a drama. It's a comedy, and it's hilarious because of how they go back and forth. It's such a cute movie. So those are my Cary Grant movies. Watch them all. Tell me if you love them. And now I'm going to move on to Doris Day, who unfortunately she did pass away last year in March, I believe. She made me really upset. She's another actress I really looked up to. Again, not only because she had a natural presence on the screen and she was able to really have a natural connection with other actors as her character on screen, which made the story just run so smoothly and wonderfully. But she also did a lot of things off camera and out of Hollywood that really made her seem like she was a really great person. I've read different accounts where they've talked to Doris Day, and Doris Day was just so sweet and kind and caring. And she also has a dog foundation set up to take care of dogs and help them with their adoptions and kind of stop the euthanasia and encourage people to really take care of dogs. And I think it's absolutely wonderful that she saw someone needed help and helped them. Yeah, so moving on to movies. You have to watch Pillow Talk. It also stars Rock Hudson. It's hilarious. I think I talked about this in my last video. It was filmed in widescreen, which was unheard of for comedies. Like, why would you need a widescreen for it? But you'll see when they start splitting up the screen that it's incredibly important to have that much space. Also, I recommend with 60 Egg Roll. It's essentially another blended family movie. I don't know why I love those movies so much, but I do. It's really cute. Doris Day's character falls in love with this man, and each of them have 3 kids from other marriages, and then they fall in love, and then it's just trying to get everyone to get along with each other. Super cute. It's a comedy, very lighthearted. Ooh, sorry, looking at my list. The Man Who Knew Too Much, starring Doris Day and Jimmy Stewart, so boom boom, hitting 2 people on my list of actors. It's suspenseful, it's a thriller. Jimmy Stewart and Doris Day's kid is kidnapped, and they run around trying to save the kid, essentially. And the whole time I was watching it, I was on the edge of my seat. It was so scary. I didn't know what was going to happen. So if you need like a suspenseful movie or a thriller, definitely check out that movie. Then the last movie I'm going to recommend is Love Me or Leave Me. I think it's technically categorized as a musical, although I'd say it's more of a drama with a touch of crime. It's really hard to like set movies in different genres because a lot of them just don't fit in one. It is about the music industry and musicals, and there are musical numbers within it. I wouldn't say that it's a musical because the story isn't pushed by the songs that are sung. I think the songs definitely help tell the story, and they're very important, but if you took all the songs out, you would understand the story and it would make sense, and you'd be like, okay, I know exactly what's going on. But Love Me or Leave Me also stars James Cagney, who of course plays the gangster. Doris Day kind of gets involved with him, and I think it's also socially important to watch because it shows what could happen and what does unfortunately often happen in the film industry and in Hollywood in general. Well, Hollywood that is now expanded to all over the place. The movie industry, and how people are able to have power over other people because of the promise of advances in careers, which happens way too often. What makes this movie even more sad is that Doris Day went through something like that just a little bit after this film was released. And I know James Cagney was, I mean, he was a sweet guy. I mean, he played these terrible people on camera, but he was such a sweet guy, and he was really upset about what had happened to Doris Day and what was going on with her life, and there wasn't much anyone could do for her, for the same reason there wasn't much anyone could do for her character in the movie. Because I don't want to give anything away, because you have to watch it. It's such a good movie. I mean, blows my mind. Yeah, so we've reached the end of my list. I have tons of more movies I can recommend. If you guys want to hear some more of them, go ahead and let me know in the comments. I'll make some more videos. If you guys want to learn about different aspects of film history or certain actors themselves, let me know. I'll do a little bit more research and then I'll make a video out of that. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope you guys are really enjoying the new year and that you guys are living your best life and you're making smart decisions and taking care of yourself, because you need to take care of yourself. Again, like, subscribe, the usual things. I'd greatly appreciate it. So I will see you guys next video. Alright? Bye.